Hello and welcome. Today we're going to review the Wingsland Scarlet Minivet drone. This is an aerial photography and video quadcopter that can record in 1080p. It has a 3-axis stabilization gimbal. It has a FPV screen, GPS, brushless motors, headless mode, return to home, and all the standard features that you would expect from an aerial platform like this. Now let's commence with the unboxing. As you can see, it comes in this large, elegant, and refined box here with the Wingsland logo and the aircraft. Very nice box and presentation. Open this up like this. You have a little quick start guide that's well detailed and has a lot of diagrams and information on setting up the quadcopter right away. And then you've got the safety brochure. And you remove this right here now. First off, you have the quadcopter with the 3-axis spherical gimbal, and looks very sharp and nice. We have the FPV screen, which you open right here, and it has a built-in sunshade. They do have a 2.5-inch smaller FPV screen, but this one has the larger one. The battery, which is a 5200 milliamp 11.1 volt battery, LiPo battery, and you charge it in this port and it plugs into the quadcopter in this port, and it's somewhat of a smart battery. If you push it, you can kind of see the charge there, but it's not quite like the DJI where you press and then press again to turn on the quadcopter. Actually, as soon as you push this into the quadcopter, it activates. Then you've got your transmitter, and then you've got two little baggies with two sets of props, 4 props in each bag. So you've got that, another set of props here. You've got your charger or balance charger here in this box. You can see here, it's kind of a proprietary setup here. It's Wingsland here, and then it has a typical red or green light when everything's fully charged. So you got the plug in there, and then of course you've got your typical cable here, and it came in with in US mode. And then you've got a baggie with miscellaneous things, basically an antenna for the FPV screen, a micro USB to charge the FPV screen and to update the firmware on the quadcopter, and then these little screws here that you use to tighten the propellers, because these aren't self-tightening propellers. These are propellers that have a hole in the middle, and then once you put the propeller on, you have to screw on each of these little spinners here. And that's essentially it. Let's first take a closer look at the quadcopter itself. It has good lighting on it, so it is a good candidate for a night flyer. It has this interesting blue light towards the back that normally flashes, but as soon as it has a sufficient number of satellites, around 6 or more, it will stay solid. It'll stay stationary without blinking, indicating that it has GPS lock and you're ready to take off. So that's kind of interesting. Battery's been packed in there in the back. Here the propellers, as I mentioned, each one has these little arrows to indicate which orientation or which direction they go in. And as you can see in the plastic, there's already an arrow and you just simply have to match that. Here's the 3-axis gimbal. It works pretty well. As you can see, when I move it, it does stabilize it. See, I move it this way, and it is stabilizing it. So overall, the quadcopter has a very unique, interesting look to it. It's very easy to spot out in the sky because of its bright orange color. Now, going a little bit into the transmitter itself, it has the 5-inch display in this model, and the telemetry is brief yet to the point. You can see your number of satellites the quadcopter is connected to here, its voltage and how much battery power it has, its height in meters, its speed in meters per second, and its length or distance in meters as well. So clean and simple telemetry there. But as far as the range, the FPV range, it is pretty good. And then also the transmitter range is pretty good as well. They advertise it somewhere between 800 to 1,000 meters, and that seems to be about right. So that's that. And then the transmitter itself is pretty unique. There's a lot of switches rather than buttons, and I'll briefly go over what the controls are. You've got your throttle and rudder. You've got your trims. Those are pretty standard. Your on-off button. Or sorry, switch. Your on-off switch. Then you've got this L1 switch here and L2 switch. And on the right side, you have the R1 and R2 switches. And to briefly go over them, the R switch here is basically for your photographic image functions. So if you have this switch to the top, it's in video mode. And then this switch here, it's not even really a switch. It's almost like a little toggle. You just kind of flick it and it will start recording video, and then you flick it again and it'll stop recording the video. And then if you have this in the middle, this is more for a menu settings here on the screen where you can change resolution, and you have some options, and you just navigate by just flicking this switch here, or you select your options using that. And then the last, if you put it towards the bottom, this is your photograph mode. And then once again, you toggle, or you just flip this and you take a photo. So that's the right hand side. And then on the left hand side, you've got basically your GPS and your flight modes here. So your L1, if you have it towards the top, that's regular generic GPS lock mode, which you should, that's the standard. If you have it in the middle, it's basically manual mode, where there might be some GPS keeping the quadcopter somewhat steady, but in general that's manual. You'll have full control over the quadcopter. And then at the bottom is the return to home. And then here, these are your flight modes. If you have it all the way to the bottom here, that's circular flight mode, where it does a circular hover around a point of interest. If you have it in the middle, that's your normal flight mode. And then if you have it towards the top, that's headless mode. Another important one, right at the back, last but not least, you have kind of like this knob that basically controls the gimbal. So if I move the knob down, you'll notice that the gimbal points down, and if I move the knob up, the gimbal goes up. Left and right really don't do anything. It's just essentially up and down. Those are the only two directions you can move your gimbal. And that's essentially it. And then the back compartment here takes 6 AA batteries. And the controller lasts quite a while with a fresh set of batteries, so that's good. The two main concerns are with the FPV setup here. It's just a little clunky. And the flight characteristics of the quadcopter. It tends to fly a little heavy, a little wobbly, especially when you do banks and turns. But aside from that, it pretty much does the job, and at a good price. I mean, it's not perfect, but in general, it does the job. So we'll show you some flight footage, some video, and you judge for yourself. Check it out. Enjoy.
This is a homage beat.